Thought I'd show you a couple tools I'm using for this real quick. I got a 1/2" Milwaukee impact, cordless 18 volt. Works really well, gets everything off. And we got a M12 Milwaukee ratchet in 3/8. This thing's really great for getting some tight stuff out. It's a lot better than sitting there and turning the wrench a bunch. Alright, so I'm starting to take the transmission out of here. So far I've taken out the air box. There's 2 bolts on the strut tower here and here. Take those out, 10 mil. Pull the intake box out. Got a ground down here. This is an aftermarket ground, but stock location. It's a 10 mil. I have the slave cylinder out. It's located down here. It's 2 12 mils. Disconnected the line from the transmission in the back. It's right here. 2 10 mils to get that out. Disconnected the speed sensor. A couple sensors here for the intake. Pull this tube out, just slides right out. Yeah, that's it so far. Alright, now I'm going to take off this transmission mount here. It's going to be 3 17 mil bolts. And then I'm going to jump underneath the car after I jack it up and remove the bolts for this T-bracket in the back. I'll show you that in a second. Alright, you can see here the 2 bolts for the T-bracket on the back side of the transmission, right above the exhaust. They're 19 mil. Gonna need an extension and a swivel to get these out. Alright, this here is the last bolt to get the T-bracket off. It's next to the starter. You can get it from the top side. Just need a swivel and that same 19 mil. Next I'm gonna take the tires off on each side and undo the lower ball joint and pop the axles out of the transmission. I'll show you that in a sec. Alright, here's the nut for the lower ball joint. That's gonna have to come out along with the bolt here. There's a nut on the other side for this shock fork. The axle goes right through it and it does not fit through, so we have to pop that out and slide the axle out underneath. Then the axle is going to be held into the transmission just by a little clip. You can pry it right out, nothing to undo there. And on this side we got one nut. I'm not sure what the size is off the top of my head, but that's going to have to come off as well. Alright, you're going to want to make sure and disconnect your battery for this next part. You're going to have to take the power and the connector off of the starter, so you don't want to be shorting that up. Alright, for the starter it's a 12 mil nut that just holds the power wire on, and then one single spade connector. You just pull it straight off. Alright, this part here, it's a roll pin you got to pop out. It's right there. I'm using a 1/4 inch pin punch, and then there's a bolt here you got to take off for the shift linkage as well. It looks like it's a 12 mil. Here we got 2 14s on the bottom of the transmission next to the exhaust. These are also holding the transmission on. They gotta come out. Possibly a couple of 10s. I'm not sure if that'll come off with the transmission or not. Alright, I got one last bolt here next to where the axle goes in on the left side. That's a 12 mil. That's gonna have to come out. Okay, I got everything loose so far. I just put one of the bolts back in to hold the transmission to the engine while I take this bolt out for the mount. Gonna drop it down, get it loose with the bolt still in place hopefully, and then once I pull that bolt out, transmission should be out of the car. To help me get this down safely, I have a jack under here. It's not its final place, but Got the jack under here to make sure that the engine stays up once that mount comes out, because nothing else will be holding the left side or the right side of the engine in anymore.